Welcome back to Moving with Meaning. I'm your host, Krystal. Now, before we jump up in here, I want to go ahead and throw out that little shout out. See, new shirt, same school, Southern University, HBCU alma mater. Please put yours up there. I want to see, shout them out. I want to hear about it. All right, here we go. All right, we are hitting up our Back to You series. It's season all about mindful re-entry. Today, we're unpacking something vital for every leader. The tools, mindsets, and boundaries you'll need to travel light and lead bold. Think of this moment in your leadership journey like preparing for a new adventure. The season ahead requires clarity, courage, and community, but it also demands that we let go of the weight we don't need. Yes, this episode is Leadership Backpack and all about the essentials. So in this episode, we'll explore how to release the weight of perfectionism, urgency culture, and emotional clutter so you can lead with more freedom and focus. Explore how to intentionally carry clarity, courage, and community into the next season, and discover how to equip yourself with boundaries, self-trust, and purpose, your true leadership essentials, so you can travel light and lead bold. All right, to lead well, folks, sometimes it's not about adding more. It's about releasing what no longer serves you. That means leaving behind the weight of perfectionism, the pressure of the urgency culture, and the emotional clutter that clouds your focus. Now, when we let go, we also make room, right, and space to carry forward what truly matters. Clarity in our decisions, courage in our actions, and community in our connections. And here's the best part. We'll pack your leadership backpack together. We're going to do it here, all right? So filling it with boundaries that protect your energy, self-trust that fuels your confidence, and purpose that lights your way. Because the simple truth is this. When you travel light, you lead bold. Come on, folks. We're going to keep that message going through this entire episode. Well, what am I waiting for? Let's go ahead and get into unpacking and then repacking. Gathering the tools, mindsets, and boundaries you need isn't just preparation, it's preservation. The next season of leadership will demand more clarity, courage, and compassion than ever, and you can't afford to carry the weight of perfectionism, urgency, or emotional clutter. When you intentionally choose what to leave behind and what to carry forward, you reclaim your energy, sharpen your focus, and create space for purposeful impact. Boundaries become your shield, self-trust becomes your compass, and purpose becomes your fuel. This is the value of traveling light. You don't just lead well, you lead with freedom, resilience, and boldness into the future. All right, I'm going to be real excited about this one as well, but I'm not going to dilly-dally here or anything like that. We're going to get into it. So what do you say? Let's talk about why it matters, right? Because when you gather the right tools, mindsets, and boundaries, you don't lighten the load. You really, truly unlock real benefits that transform the way you lead and, hey, the way you live. So, benefit number one, clarity of focus. You spend less time distracted by noise and more time aligned with what truly matters. Ain't that the truth? Yeah. Like I said, I think I said in the last episode, right? I have headphones on. Sometimes I'm not even playing music. I don't know if it's just the quiet and the silence of everything that else is going around me. I don't know what it is, but it brings me comfort. Okay. And it does. It clears my mind. It helps me focus. There are moments where I'm so distracted, even with my own thoughts. That's when you have to get up and walk and take a break. You have to pause to come back to refocus and realign. And you know what? After that, the answer's always there. It literally appears. I don't know how it happens, but I practice it and I preach it. So I suggest that y'all do the same thing. All right. Second benefit, resilient confidence. Hey, I talk about emotional resilience. This is resilient confidence. Let's see what this is all about. Boundaries and self-trust give you the courage to make decisions with strength, not fear. Yes. Haven't you ever been in a position where you said, well, I want to say no, but I'm scared to? Or they're not right, but if I correct them, they're going to get mad. Like, you're scared. These are fears, right? These are not actions that you are looking to strategically approach how to say no, strategically approach how to correct someone. This is fear of just saying, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to offend them, right? And we go through these moments, and I've been through these moments. So I think when you get to a point where you're setting boundaries and you trust yourself and who you are, and that you mean well, and that you're figuring out how to navigate and want to collaborate and build positive community around yourself, it really does equip you with courage, and you don't even know it. Right? You start to speak with a lot more, I don't want to say authority, but it really is confidence. It really is. And it shows in what you're saying, and you're not afraid to be corrected either. So, hey, I think it's a real big benefit on that one, boo. All right. Last one is sustainable leadership. Carrying only what serves you keeps burnout at bay and builds long-term effectiveness. Sustainable leadership. I just love this. Because we all know what burnout feels, and we will go back into it if we don't ever stop to correct it. But even still, like that's great for you as a leader, but it's great to recognize that in someone else. I've said to a lot of people, it's like, you should not worry about it today. Oh no, I'll get it. I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, I know when people are getting to a point, and I'm kind of like, what can I do to help? Right? Or anything like that. It's hard to accept that sometimes, right? But when you are a leadership or in a position of leadership, and you are communicating that to someone and you care, right? People will take help from you a lot more than they will from someone else. And we'll get into why that is coming up here soon. And I don't want to take too much time away from that. So think about that. Again, it's long-term effectiveness, because you look to get into positions to leave a legacy, and that's a long-term plan, baby. So let's keep it going. All right, let's take this out of theory and into the real world. Like, come out from the stars, we're gonna come back to earth and talk about it in a real life context that we can all relate to, okay? So, because to be honest with you, straight up, leadership lessons don't just live in textbooks, they live in boardrooms, break rooms, and sometimes right at your own dinner table. So let's talk about what this actually looks like in real life. Now, I've organized this typically like I normally do in professional scenario and personal scenario, but I've categorized them in each one of them now by those particular objectives, right? Just to kind of give it a good mix up. So professional scenario, leaving behind perfectionism. The manager used to spend hours tweaking every slide before a big presentation. Now they focus on clarity over perfection, delivering with confidence and freeing up time for strategy instead of nitpicking fonts. Yes, I actually had some really good advice given to me about 13 years ago, where I was in a really good position. I was going to be interacting with the stakeholders and the clients like for the first time on a routine basis, and I had to present material. And in this material, my boss said, present it or put it together and then give it to me. All right, and I'll review it and stuff like that. And I said, okay. And he's like, okay, but do me a favor, don't fall in love with it. And I'm like, okay. And he must have saw my face. But he said, the reason I'm saying that is because I'm going to come back and say, change this, leave this out, add this, rearrange something. It's not that I'm critiquing what you gave me, that doesn't work or anything like that. I'm not doing it. That whatever you're putting together is phenomenal. It's just I like things to be a certain way, and just change it, and we'll get through that. And then when we go to the stakeholder and they see it, they're gonna correct me and change it and ask me to change it, and we're gonna change it. Right? It's just at the end of the day, we're talking about presenting it to the different audiences, and we just need to adapt, right? But no one's saying anything negative about what you're doing, okay? And I was like, oh, good, yeah. I'm glad that he prefaced that, because that helped our leadership, our engagement, and it helped us as how we interacted together. And I think that's important because people don't take the time to do that. And I do that a lot now, but I need that advice today more than ever, right now, because that's an offensive thing sometimes when people don't explain it, and how they explain it and come back to you, they can be aggressive. It can be seen really aggressively, or almost as if they're making fun of you. It feels that way, and you kind of get in your feelings a little bit. But I'm going to wait and hold on that to go down a little bit more. All right. The next one is caring forward community. A team leader builds weekly connection check-ins with the staff. Instead of only talking tasks, they make space for human connections and conversations, keeping morale high and turnover low. Hey, look, a lot of people will stay for a good leader. Like, he's like, I got it good here. And I I kind of feel like I'm overworked and all the other kind of stuff. But my lead is very understanding. We have a good relationship and a good rapport. I don't know where I'm gonna find this at. I just don't want to do it. I just don't want to leave. I want to stay here. They will stay for that. But I think the culture today allows for more of this conversational. I think in the last generation, it just wasn't there. That the woke culture was just too busy, too fast moving, needing it today, urgency and this and that. And today it's starting to kind of level out and be a little bit more realistic and family friendly and well-being focused. So that's, I think that's another real world example. One generation leaving and a new one coming in. All right, last one for professional scenario, leadership backpack boundaries. An executive finally says no to late night emails, setting the tone for their team that rest is respected. The result, everyone shows up sharper the next morning. Hey, you know what? This can get a little tricky when you're dealing with offshore, but folks overseas and things like that. And what you do is you make yourself available for a certain time period in the evening and a certain time period in the morning, because of the time shift, but they can have you all throughout the night. Okay, don't ever set that up. I mean, I've had them call me before on Christmas morning, and I was like, why would you, they knew it was a holiday. They still called. Thank you for saying Merry Christmas and all that kind of stuff, but they were working. They needed more answers. And I'm just thinking, I need to do a better job, and I appreciate them for it. It was just me not putting in that boundary. I just was very available and they thought it was okay. But sometimes they don't know. You just gotta let them know. All right, so we're gonna switch right over into the personal scenario. And this one, I like these. All right, leaving behind urgency culture. A parent stops rushing through dinner to get to the next task. Instead, they savor that time with their kids, reminding themselves that presence is productivity too. Yeah, I think this is really true for any career parent, okay? But I'm a mama, so I'm gonna say career mom and being a mother, because both of those were very important to me. I really wanted to be career driven and be a mother. Those were things that were just on the top of my list, okay? And for me to do that and keep things moving, I had to be able to multitask. So that was cooking dinner, and in the middle of doing some of that, switching out the clothes or folding up the clothes, and then doing their homework, asking them their questions, and then kind of talking to them about their day, but I'm doing other things and responding to them. It wasn't really getting, and all I was doing was checking it off, but trying to be there, but I wasn't there. It didn't connect. And I think at one moment I just stopped and I was like, I got to get back to my children. They deserve more than this. They deserve better. And so I have moments where, when that happens, I'll cook dinner, and then I sit down and talk to them while they're eating. If I'm eating with them or whatever else, I make sure to do that, because I show up differently when I go back to work. I really do. Okay, next one is carrying forward courage. Someone takes the leap to join a community choir despite feeling rusty. That act of courage not only fuels joy, but ripples back into how boldly they show up at work. Hey, this is true. Like I told y'all in the last one, I'm really big on getting my physique, but I've always been that way. I've always been big about working out. And I just said, I'm going to do it because this is what I want to do. And I'm going to commit to it. And I did. And now that I love it, I'm not going to lie. I show up at work like really, I don't want to say jacked up or whatever, but really excited. Like I get reinvigorated because I'm thinking about what I'm going to do at work, but also like what my workout going to be today. So what gives you joy and what gives you pleasure, that one thing can help ignite another, right? Because everything is all connected, right? We're all wound together in the same ball of yarn. All right, leadership backpack purpose. A professional journaling each morning asks, what one thing today aligns with my purpose? That simple practice keeps them grounded, even in the chaotic weeks. Yes, it is true. And you should do that, right? Because it's just between y'all, right? Who else gonna talk? Who else talking to you, right? And I think if you got to be, this is a good practice to be more honest with yourself. Do that. And I think it will help, right? Because if you name it in your mind as you go out throughout the day, it's going to constantly pop up like, oh, this is whatever. I mean, it's amazing how much when you say something, how much it appears in your life after that. And it's one of those things of speaking it into fruition. I think it's very true. So we want to do that with production and progression, to speak it, and then watch how the rest of your life aligns to it or gives you the opportunity to align to it. All right? So you see, these shifts aren't just leadership philosophy, they're survival skills. But here's the catch. If gathering tools, mindsets, and boundaries was easy, hey, I'd be out of a job, wouldn't I? So let's talk about what actually makes this hard. First challenge is fear of disappointing others. Leaders worry that setting boundaries will be seen as selfish. It's not true. It just isn't. People will try to test those boundaries because they want more access to you, but you got to be like, oh, back up, Jack. We ain't doing all that. Not to mention, a lot of people, even when they do test that, they respect you for holding true to those things, right? For you to say, back up, give me my moment, and you still deliver and you're still efficient and you're giving away everything, they start to learn from your behavior and your actions. Not only that, other people around you start to do the same thing. So it's literally how much your behavior and your actions actually encourage and inspire and influence the space and the people around you. You have no idea. So I think you should take and own who you are and protect that energy and protect your peace. Everyone else will respect it, and then they'll start to do the same thing. All right. Next one is addiction to urgency. Many confuse busyness with productivity and find slowing down uncomfortable. I honestly think this is why retirement is very difficult for a lot of professionals. Look, I'm not going to be 70 working. I'm just telling you that right now. I don't even want to be working at 60. So I'm doing a whole lot of stuff right now to set me up for that. I mean, if I am, it's kind of consultancy based, contractual, right? Where I kind of have control of the space. I'm not so much into the politics and all this stuff. Like it's very like comfortable for me. But a lot of people, they're comfortable with that. They find being busy just equates to being productive. So when they get out of a space where there's nothing to do or they're finishing doing something, like, oh my God, it's almost like an anxiety attack or a panic attack. So just try to start getting yourself to slowing down so that you can ease, because that day is coming and we want to enjoy it. Those are our golden years. Last one is comfort in familiar patterns. Even when limiting beliefs or clutter weigh us down, they can feel safe because they're familiar. Yeah, and I've told you that before, and I told you that constantly, right? We get into places where we feel comfortable, and it's not good for us. It's not pleasant, but it's familiar. And it's like, I'm used to this. And I had this recently where I'm used to being dismissed. I'm used to being overlooked. I'm just used to all these things. And when I started receiving this, and I thought my first reaction was like, oh no, this is wrong, because it was that unfamiliar to me. So I was trying to push it away, and then I stopped myself and I said, why would you do that if it makes you feel wonderful? It was almost as if I felt guilty for feeling just appreciated. Don't do that to yourselves. All right, stop that. You deserve it. You take it in. Take what you're getting and what you being given. All right. So we've named the challenges: the perfectionism that whispers you're never ready, the urgency culture that convinces you everything's on fire, and the emotional clutter that weighs down your decision making. Sound familiar? Well, don't worry, you're not broken, you're just human. Ain't that something? There's good news. Challenges aren't roadblocks, they're just signposts saying, hey, it's time to try a new route. And that's exactly where strategy comes on in. Listen, leadership ain't about pretending the road is smooth. It's about knowing how to pack the right gear to handle the bumps. So let's roll up our sleeves and talk about these strategies you can actually use to turn those challenges into stepping stones, folks. Think of this as GPS rerouting, right? Except this time it's guiding you back to clarity, courage, and calm. All right? Strategy number 1 is inventory your backpack. Ask yourself, what's weighing me down? What gives me energy? Keep only what serves your purpose. And I think this is very true, okay? And we don't ask ourselves these things sometimes. It's because we think we're on autopilot, and we think we got it going on. We think we're doing the thing, okay? But we ain't sometimes, right? We got to catch ourselves. And I think if we just ask this question even once a month, right, is what isn't working right now, right? And what does? Once you start to do that constant analysis, you start to tweak your quality meter, right? And things will start to go up. And it's important because you have to constantly monitor that, because it's easy to slip back. So you constantly do that inventory to make sure that you dropping all that weight and carrying what you need and what fuels you. Okay. Number 2, name and replace. I like this because we did this. I think I did 3 strategies on how to do this. Check it back in my mid-year series. It's one of my little episodes there. I love this. Okay. But identify one limiting belief or habit you're ready to leave behind and consciously replace it with a liberating truth or practice. This one, I'm going to tap in real quick on this one. But when I was talking about it before, where I said, like, today, this is the moment where I needed to look at my how I look at presenting and taking in feedback when I'm presenting material that doesn't please that audience. So in this particular case, it was one of those things where, and it's not necessarily tied to that, but I was being, I guess, discussed by my manager about something, and what I was doing in my head was being proactive by explaining where things are and how they got there. And that was always being responded to almost as if I was being defensive, as if it felt like they were taking everything I was saying as being aggressive. And I'm like, I know I'm not saying that, and I know I'm not using words that are saying that. So I took a moment, because I was like, why? It's a limiting belief, right? Is that if I'm not agreeable, then I'm going to be taken as argumentative. And in this case, I felt like I was just regular, and I was still being taken that way. So I stopped, right? And I said, okay, wait a second, because of the agreeableness, right? I can still be agreeable, right? I can still be agreeable and just wait for the right timing. And so I think we were just in one example, we were in a meeting and I got critiqued, and I said, okay, sure. And it was like, they were expecting a response, and I said, no. And they're like, well, do you agree? And I go, yeah, I do. It's like, well, we should do this with this. I'm like, yes, I agree. Well, whatever. Well, what do you think? And I was like, I think we already do that. We already have that documented. And what I can do, though, is tie them here so that you can see them here. We don't do that here, but we can add that here if you would like. It's not a problem. And it was like, oh, well, send me that and let me check the look, and then we'll go from there. So it was just about timing, right? I was agreeable. Right? I didn't immediately jump in to say, well, we do that over here anyway. I didn't do all that. I just said, you're right. And I agree, because I was doing it. It was just, they didn't know. So it's one of those things where you just have to really look at it and say, the limiting belief for me was that if I was agreeable, it would be like I was a pushover, right? But the truth is, take everything at its pace. Being agreeable is totally okay, because it's okay to agree. You don't always have to have a critique or a criticism or a comeback or something like that. Sometimes what someone says is actually okay. Say, I agree. And that's it. Leave it be. All right. Last strategy is pack lightly bold. That's the catchphrase in this episode. Choose one boundary and one mindset you will carry forward into this season and recommit to them daily. I love this, and I want you guys to do this. Yes, I think we should do this, when I told you about before, monthly. Ask that question, but also set the boundary. Set the boundary. So today, you know what? I'm going to block my lunch. And I know people try to do it. I'm not gonna be available. I'm just not gonna be available. I'm gonna start saying, like, no, y'all need to do something else. I am available for y'all outside these hours 100% of the time. This is for me. Maybe that's one. But basically, it's a way to set that boundary, because it's so common and it appears daily. So it gives you the opportunity to stand on business. All right. So I like this. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I really did. I really do. And I look to keep this moving forward. But as always, I'm going to leave y'all with something to take with you for the rest of the week, right? To remind and inspire and motivate you to keep inventorying that backpack and keep leading forward. Okay? You don't need more stuff. You need more space for who you're becoming. The lighter your leadership backpack, the bolder your leadership path. So let go of what no longer serves you. Carry forward the tools that empower you, and step into this next season with clarity, courage, and purpose. Now, check this. Real freedom in leadership isn't about carrying it all. It's about carrying only what truly matters. Hey, man, y'all gonna take that with you, and y'all gonna remember it, okay? And keep it moving, right? You got to remember that this next season that's coming here, and I know you might have had next season after next season after next season. We're going to make this next season the one that truly has the tools to get you there, right? And we're going to see the progression as we move forward, right? We're going to commit to it and we're going to make it happen. All right. As a reminder, if you want more of me that delve into deeper topics, check out my podcast, Moving with Me, the podcast. I'm on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Music. Check out my website, movingwithmeaning.com. Also, if you are interested in my path to emotional resilience, I wrote my business memoir that takes you on my 8-year journey in a tough competitive environment. You can find it on Amazon by the title, Embrace the Code, Cultivating Emotional Resilience in a Tough IT Culture. Here is my graphic with all of my social media connections. Hit your girl up or just follow along. Maybe something will pop out at you. Also, if you are particularly inspired by any of my conversations or episodes and think this would be a good match for your next event, I'm your gal. I'll speak at it. Or are you interested in converting this into a workshop? I got you covered. Perhaps this is right in line with your own experience and want to partner with me to add a bit more options to that spark. I'm your coach. Maybe finding the right words for your own memoir or ebook has you all balled up in knots. Well, I'm the ghostwriter that can put your thoughts and ideas to paper. If any of those strike your interest and you just want to talk opportunities, take the first step and book me completely free. Yes, free, using this QR code. All right, folks, I am out of time, but I enjoyed you. I look forward to the next one. Be blessed and just keep moving.